What a morning. What a morning. What's up, guys? We have Liv here.
Hello.
She's been like 3 months since she's been on the podcast.
Mike's last choice after the cat and doing it alone.
Okay. What happens when nobody comes to the office is that we have to do it, and you were here, so by product, you're there.
Mike texted me, I guess we can't do it. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm not here. You're right.
Anyway, what's up? What's up? Mike Frank with Frank Oliver Collective of eXp Realty here with our amazing brand relations marketing coordinator, blah, 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 Liv.
Yeah.
Hi. There you go. Anyway, so it's so interesting because today's topic was to talk about, we're going to flip the script and make it a little bit fun, house hacking for sellers, right? So ways that they can improve their value, little things that they can do to change their marketability for their home as they're looking to sell in the summer.
Sure.
And it plays in because one question that I immediately thought was, tell people like what you do, because it's kind of like, I don't know, there's this like person at our office that does this stuff for you and it's going to be amazing and don't worry about it. And it works really, really well. But I don't think anybody really understands like, what is your job? Like, especially as it pertains to sellers.
Oh, what I do?
Mm-hmm.
I guess when it comes to sellers, I really come into the picture after the contract is signed and we're ready to list your house. I schedule all the photos. I send a lot of like materials to make sure that you know how to stage your home properly for photos if you're still living in it, like the 3Ds of real estate.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. One of the things that I don't talk enough about when I'm with my clients is, hey, you're going to hear from Liv and she's going to give you bullet points and tips and she's going to send you the listing and she's going to give you preview and make sure that you approve it. And it's so many little things that happen. And I'm always like, damn, that's awesome. Right?
Little things you don't think about, like that you need to do, like who's going to put the lockbox on? How are we going to get a spare key? Like, how are we going to set up showings? Are you going to have seller? Like just little tiny things like that like you would never think of.
Or like our most recent listing, I was going through the community dropping off pop buys. So shout out for all of our past clients there. They're going to get things in the middle of the night because it's the easiest time to drive through the neighborhood and drop things off. And it was like, hey, Mike's going to drop off a lockbox tonight. And I was like, oh, I am? And she goes, here, take it with you. Right. And I literally dropped off a lockbox like a quiet little mouse, snapped it on the gas meter, took a picture and sent it back to Liv so she could then communicate with the seller, let them know how to function, what to expect. And the fact that we use a super secure lockbox is not unique to us, but it's a great value for our sellers and they need to know about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think sellers a lot of the time, like when you're listing your house, you're thinking about like the price and like how are you going to get the best price? And you see pictures on Zillow and listings and like think that it just magically happens that once you sign the contract, it's like, oh, my house is going to have beautiful photos online. But there's actually a lot that goes into it. And you really have to like take the photos and make sure you get the good photographer and all that kind of stuff.
One of the things on your blog post today was assess your property's USP. So your unique selling point, identifying the distinctive features of your house that make it stand out from the competition. These could be spacious backyard, renovated kitchen, proximity to amenities. Highlighting these selling points can justify a slightly higher selling price. And in the same way, doing the same thing with your photography, utilizing the shoots that we have. I mean, our photographer will take like 30 to 50 photos of the tiniest little house. He'll edit out 20 or 30 of them, and then he'll send them to us, and we might only put 17 online. But it's because those are the unique selling proposition. And that's something that goes into every single listing. That's like your value.
Yeah, definitely. Choosing the photos and like making sure that it shows the house in the best light. And like that says like highlighting, like if it's close to the water, like writing that in the description, like little things like that. Our
descriptions have definitely gotten better. They went from the standard, quaint, luxurious, spacious, private spaces, right? Like backyard, bathroom, whatever it were, to now being, very hyper specific. That listing was in, not Sollers Point. It's in
Sparrows Point.
Sparrows Point. Thank you. Right. And it's just like, quiet little neighborhood in Sparrows Point. Most people never travel here. And so then all of a sudden the reader on the other end that might be just in the neighborhood adjacent in Dundalk might not even realize how quiet that neighborhood is. It's like we're now speaking to them.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Something interesting about like descriptions is that I feel like I used to when I first started, like you just think of like a description as like, I'm like, okay, it has 4 bedrooms. Like, you know, and like obviously it has like 4 spacious bedrooms upstairs, but like that's pretty much all. And then now I've actually started thinking of it as like telling a story about the house. And like, you know, like you could like walk to the water and like put your kayak in. And like, I think changing it from just a description to like a story about the future person living there really helps make it a better
And I think from a seller's point of view, it's the same thing, right? A lot of our sellers don't understand what it means to like depersonalize their home. And if you're a hiker or a kayaker, or there's one house that I can think of that's on the market and probably overpriced, but not only is it overpriced, every room has like 75 things on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And like, license plate, license plate,
Sure.
license plate, like literally all up and down the wall, even in the bathroom.
It's like 21 Jump Street.
It was this thought that I said in this offer, it would be repaint the whole house because there's going to be so many holes in the wall. Like I never include that kind of stuff in the offers, but there's so much shit in the house. So not only can someone not understand what it's like to place a kayak in the water, but they can't even see it through all of your crap.
Right.
So if you bring the kayak out and it's hanging on the fence, or maybe if you have, you know, a sign in your garden that says kayaking 0.5 miles, right? Like these are stories that we can tell the buyer. But if you have kayaking 0.5 miles, Mount Rushmore over here and 75 of this and 15 bunnies in the garden, people don't even realize that they can actually do that one thing, the kayaking 0.5 miles, right? Because they just think that you're an outdoors person and they're not really keeping up with the garden and this isn't something that they can take on. So they just don't even make an offer.
Right.
Because it's like, it's too overwhelming with the 75 bunnies that are there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so crazy that like the smallest thing as a description can make the difference between my desire to want to see the house, which is my first showing, and then my actually walking through the property, which is my second showing. Then leading to an offer.
Yeah.
Speaking of leading to an offer, it's interesting that like the last 3 comments in your blog, and if you guys aren't reading the blogs, make sure you go onto our website. I believe it's frankoliverco.com, and then it's under additional resources or
it is additional resources in the blog. Yeah.
And then blog. But the last 3 things are like super, super, super key. And it plays right into what you do, which is being mindful of overpricing, being open to negotiation, and monitoring the market.
Yeah.
And why I say it's what you do, because while you're not monitoring those 3 things, it's like the communication that we have is so important. Being mindful, like our listing on Arlington, where our seller is not acknowledging the reality of where we are in today's market.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, we've had 17 open houses. We've had this many showings. We've had this going on. And then I'm coming in and talking to the seller and saying, okay, great. So we've had 17 open houses, 75 showings, and this going on with the information that you've given me, plus a little bit of data that I'm pulling. And the seller's like, no, the house is great.
Like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Like, obviously, we don't know anything about what we're doing. We're just here to listen to you. And that's fine. I understand that sellers sometimes get repugnant about their pricing. But it's like, you have to be mindful. You have to take in the information that's given to you. And a lot of times on Monday or Tuesday, you'll send a message to the seller after an open house. Like, hey, we did this open house. We had this many people come through, and you know, your agent's going to talk to you about it on Tuesday or whatever that might be. It's no different than when John sent a message to somebody yesterday. Hey, got your home inspection report back. What time is a good time to talk to Mike tomorrow on Wednesday? And they said, 2:00. So he put in my calendar to talk to them. So when I talk to them at 2:00, they're not calling me going, why are we talking?
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, I have the information. I got all the information. I need to be objective about it. And now I'm here to talk to Mike.
You're ready to talk. It's
like the same thing. If you're not objective about the market and taking in the information, what are you doing as a seller?
Yeah.
Right. And then the last piece was monitor. Wait, Yeah, monitor the market. So as we're having that same conversation, it's like, hey, we've had 17 open houses and you haven't had a pricing adjustment. Like, what are you doing over
Right.
here, Mr. Seller? It's not that it's your job to have that conversation with them, but just by like, hey, we've had 2 open houses the first week we're on the market. We had another open house on Wednesday of the second week. We had a 3rd open house on the 3rd week we were on the market. We've had 4 open houses. And we haven't gotten any traction. I'm going to let your agent talk to you about that a little bit more. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not monitoring that information, if you're just going on 4 weeks without like, oh yeah, we've had this many open houses, right? Or the agent that won't talk to their seller and say, hey, you've been on the market for this many days, this long, this price, this many showings. Our showings have declined. Here's how showings compared to showings in our whole entire market, right? And this is where like we get into this whole thing of like showing time reports back to National Association of Realtors, how many showings are in the country. And like today, they're saying that the showing amount is pre-pandemic numbers, which if anybody's paying attention, it's like what happened was in 2018, we were like kind of normal. In 2019, we were getting a little bit busier, just a good market. A lot of first-time home buyers coming into the market that hadn't bought or withhold buying from 2015, 16, 17. So now we're getting busier, and then the pandemic hits, and everybody knows we went like skyrocketed crazy because staying at home, all the pressures, all the things, and then the financial value, right? So then our showings went through the roof. Well, now our showings are back to what they're calling pre-pandemic numbers.
Which is like normal.
Yeah. So if you put your house on the market and you only get 6 showings, it's not like the end of the world. Now, if you haven't sold a house in the last 4 years, it probably doesn't matter to you. But maybe you sold your parents' house in 2021 and you got 27 showings Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you had another 35 showings scheduled Monday through Thursday, but then you canceled them because you got 15 offers. And then you list your house today and you only get 6 showings Monday through Sunday.
Right.
That doesn't feel good.
You're like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, right? But now as a buyer, the buyers actually have time to like breathe and think about it and consider it. So they're showing a property on Thursday and maybe making an offer on Sunday. Good for the buyers.
Yeah.
But if you can't have that conversation with your team to talk about what's going on in the market, I mean, you're dead in the water. Yeah,
right. You have to be able to make adjustments and like talk to people and communicate. And although I will say that you're listing in Bel Air, I mean, we got 27 showings Thursday to Sunday.
That's a unique one, right?
I mean, you priced it right too, and then you got more than he even wanted.
So it's all about that, right? Like we came in at the beginning and said, this is where your market value was. And I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe that the numbers were 485 to 525, I think. And I really, really, really wanted to push to price low.
Yeah.
I even wanted to price at 465.
I know.
Because I told him, given the considerations of the location, the community, and the size of the home, it was a 4-bedroom house, but it's a little bit smaller by square footage, to price a little bit lower to get more traction. Well, he pushed back and we priced at the lower end of that range. And we ended up getting great traction. But the number one thing that I told them was the thing that I had said from the beginning. This house was polarizing.
Really?
We had 27 showings, but we had so many people just go, not for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I didn't get feedback or people weren't willing to make the phone call. It was like, not for me. Straight up, this is not the house for me because it's polarizing. So then we only got 3 offers. Only. Oh my God. It's awful.
What a horrible life.
Right.
3 offers.
And 2 of them were towards the higher range of our CMA. And one of them was right in the middle of our CMA, but pricing appropriately, we got into the right position.
Yeah.
And I will say, photography was on point.
So
at that
some of
house,
our best photos we've ever had.
for sure. The listing looked really great. We have a couple listings that might go up and the information might be old. And so I don't chastise you. It's actually funny. There's one that's
Is there
live
one that's
right
wrong
now.
That's
yeah.
great.
But I look at it and I say, hey, you're using the information that you're given. So then if you're given wrong information, like on my listing where we assumed that it had central air conditioning and the sellers were like, no, it doesn't have central air conditioning.
Why would you renovate a house and not put in central air conditioning?
Why would you put in a full renovation and not put in central air?
Okay.
Right.
Weird.
But then there's others where it's like we need to make adjustments to other material facts. It might be a well when it's not a well, or it might say that it's public water when it's actually a well. And those things get like slipped through the cracks between the seller and you and the agent. But then it's like, it's up to the agent to be auditing that listing and say, why am I not getting showings? What is going on here? What can I do differently to get myself more showings? And then come in and support from you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just an interesting perspective, because as you look at like, what is this? This is 8 factors to sell in the summer market. Just throwing them out there. Researching the market, consulting a real estate professional, consider comp sales, assess your USP, factor in unique upgrades and repairs, and then overpricing negotiation and monitoring the market. Really, this doesn't have as much to do with like your job and marketing, but I feel like it's so much to do with your job and marketing. I feel all of these things come into like why you hire a real estate professional. But I also think, and we know, guys, if you don't know that there's bad real estate agents out there, there's fucking bad real estate agents out there.
Yeah.
Like some of the listings that you see, I could take better photos on my cell phone.
Oh my God. It's so true. My favorite is like the first photo is a light switch.
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking?
Right. Or like the first photo is taken from like a drone.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Are you trying to showcase the community to somebody that doesn't even know if they like the house? Like,
right.
I don't know. There's bad agents.
Yeah. There just are.
And no different than when our photographer sent us his first photos. Did you ever even see those?
You showed me them.
Oh my
They're
God.
not great.
They're awful. Right? Those were his first photos ever. Now his photos are fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
But it takes time to like bring that value together. So if you're hiring your best friend or your cousin that's got their real estate license, or somebody, I just heard the other day that there's this guy that's a lawyer that also is a realtor that represented one of my friends, like it was a friend of a friend at a party over the weekend. And he's like, I don't really know if he's a real estate agent first or a lawyer first, but I just use him. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why would you trust somebody with your biggest asset that might not be a real estate professional first?
Right.
But if you're going to trust somebody, if you're going to take on the liability of working with like Heather, brand new agent, not brand new, Heather's been with us for a year, so like kudos to her, but brand new first listing ever, right? You're going to trust somebody with their first listing ever. They better have the backing of someone like Liv, like a team that's going to structure it and follow it and make sure that we're looking after your property. Because, I mean, I'll be damned, Heather's had a lot of problems with that property. With the community, it's not just like the house that we're looking after. We're looking after the house in the freezing weather. We're looking after the house in riots and public unrest. We're looking after the house in times of need where people are desperate and will take advantage of a vacant property. Unfortunately, here in Baltimore, that's a reality. And these are the things that we do, and we're bringing that to the forefront for somebody that's brand new in her business.
Yeah.
So having you there
having the
to like
support of me and John and you and everyone else. Yeah.
But also just like sending a message. What if someone messaged back through Showing Time, which is our showing service. They messaged back through Showing Time and they're like, went to show the property today. Front door was, open, unlocked or something. And then you get that message and Heather's unavailable. You can immediately contact the seller. It's just like an added layer of value that I think people in the county are like, that's far away from me. But reality, like, I know so many county houses that have flooded during freezing time.
Oh, sure.
I know so many people that have had major problems because of like natural things. And it's like, well, what if your agent's out with another client? What if your agent's on vacation? What if your agent isn't skilled enough to handle it? Or heaven forbid, your agent has a second full-time job. And kudos to those people. I'm not knocking them. But it's like you need a team that's going to be there for you when you have a problem. Dana. So like if you had a real problem, something that actually happened that was a major issue, and you called me and it was a holiday and I neglected the phone call because I'm with my family, which is a right, by the way. Like, let's stop fucking abusing people. And then you called Liv and she didn't neglect the phone call because she's way better than I am. And then you answer it and you're like, oh my God, this is a major problem. Well, you want to have 2 or 3 or 4 people that are going to be available to you.
Yeah.
By the way, texting works in an emergency too.
It also does.
You don't have to call 75 times.
Texting works just fine.
But it's like real estate agents are so much more than just someone to open the door. Mm-hmm. And there is a skill in listing. There is a skill in listing preparation. There is a skill in even just the way that you communicate. Hey, here's what's going to happen this week.
Yeah.
And I love that about what you do. I almost wish that we could put like screenshots up so people could see it, because it's like
my long ass first text. Yeah. It's like 4 paragraphs.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, here's this and here's this and here's this. And by the way, here's a copy of your listing. Take a look at it, because interesting story. I had a seller who I represented the buyer, and the final walkthrough, the buyer said something to me like, hey, this isn't granite. And I went, yeah, no, I mean, it's not granite. I know that.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, the listing said it was granite. And I was like, I don't know about all that. And he goes, the listing also said that it had a garbage disposal. And I was like, no garbage disposal down there.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do we do about that? And I was like, I don't know, but this sounds fun. So I called the listing agent, and the listing agent was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. Every listing, I have my seller sign the listing, like initial it.
Yeah.
So that they've seen it, so that they can review it. So they know that this listing said granite and garbage disposal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I mean, that seems really fucked up. Like, don't you think that we should be putting in a granite and a garbage disposal? Now, as it turned out, if I was the listing agent, sorry for you buyers agents out there, fuck y'all. There's no way I'm going to do that. But this listing agent was really, really nice and actually taught me a valuable lesson. She offered to pay for it, and I think maybe her sellers might have contributed to it. It was like $400 or something, and it was just the right thing to do. So then I was like, all right, maybe I would do that in the future.
Yeah.
But rather than do that, let's just catch the problems before they arise, right? So when we have a listing go active, we do the same thing. Like, send it to your sellers so that they can review it, so that they can see it, and they can make sure that, hey, if there's something wrong, they don't get to turn around 10 days on the market and call me up and yell at me because you're marketing administrator, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think she did a great job. She sent you the listing and you had the opportunity to review it. So I hear that you're upset that this happened. I just want to say that we're all in this together, and she did a great job, and she sent it to you, and you didn't catch it, and I didn't catch it, and she didn't catch it. So let's just change it.
Yeah.
It's like an easy way to just
exactly. Just like, okay, calm down.
But it's little things like that that are so great that I wish more agents did.
Yeah. I don't know how other agents do anything. I just assume everyone's team works like ours. So when things are like different, I'm like, what?
I don't know how anyone does anything.
I don't know how you guys do anything. I'm like,
I actually don't either. One of the downsides of not ever being on a team before we created a team. So we kind of had to start from scratch. But there's a lot of things that I know that we do in an ignorance bliss moment, right? So a blissfully ignorant moment is a better way to say that. That we do things that no other team does. And I look at those other teams and I go, I understand why you do it that way. I also understand why we do it our way.
Yeah.
And I love the way it works.
Yeah.
So, having our agents inputting listings into the MLS, it then leads me to be like, I've told you this 75 times. And they're like, no, you haven't. This is only my second listing. And you're like, okay, but you've heard it when I told them this and then that and then this and then that. Mm-hmm. There's like no one person. Whereas when you have one person responsible for inputting all the listing information, one person responsible for communicating the listing to the seller, one person responsible for making sure that the seller understands what they're listing and how the process is going to go, and one person responsible for scheduling open houses. And it's like, wow, that person can get really good at it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
It's so true.
You know, at this point, John writes contracts better than I do. Probably. I'll give him that. I know that you put in listings more efficiently than I do. And you have more understanding, because sometimes I'll ask, like, can't we do this? And you're like, oh, the MLS, I've tried to do that. We can't.
Yeah.
It's like, what if you had a specialist to do everything?
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
Let me ask this question. You and Chris living at home, something breaks. What happens?
Chris fixes it.
Chris fixes it, no matter what it is.
No matter what it is.
Like, even if it was appliance in the kitchen.
Oh, it's insane. He literally, I mean, and I would call someone instantly. Like, I would never fix something on my own, but Chris fixes everything.
Like, what if you were in the middle of making cookies for your mom's birthday or Christmas, like the middle of it, right? And the oven didn't want to like turn on.
Yeah.
Like it was just like off.
It's off.
What would you do?
Chris would look at it and then tell me what to do. He'd be like, okay, either I can fix it or we have to call someone.
But like you wouldn't even...
I wouldn't even try. I would immediately call someone.
What if you and Chris were in a fight? Like he got mad at you yesterday and you will not apologize to him and like this fucking oven is broken. Like what would you do then?
Call someone.
You wouldn't even like try.
What would I do? I have no idea. I have no understanding.
And yet in our fucking industry, a brand new agent gets their best friend to list a property with them and they just go to put it in the MLS. They call someone for photos. That person's a specialist at, profile shots or baby photos or whatever.
But they want cash, so they're like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, they've never photoed a house before. They don't know the fucking first thing. And I just want to save money because I'm brand new agent. So like, how much are they going to charge me? Way less than any other agent ever said. And then, they're going to do drone footage too. And they're going to drone footage the house. And what if they scratch the walls? Nobody pays attention to that. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. And I'm just going to list it for what? What, Mr. Seller? Oh, more than it's worth? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So we can negotiate down to the value. We could do like a mama bear, papa bear, baby bear kind of situation. Like this all sounds really great and we should just trust them. But in every other facet of our lives, we're like, nah, I'm just going to call somebody.
Right.
But in this life, we're like, I'm good enough to do it.
I could do that. You watch Selling Sunsets once and you're like, that doesn't look that hard. Look, they just look pretty all the time.
And for all of those aspiring real estate people out there, it is fucking exactly that easy. It is literally that easy. Doing a real estate transaction is as easy as it seems. It's getting to that point that's hard. If your mom or your cousin or your grandparents or whatever are going to sell their house, yeah, you can do it. There's a broker, there's a lender, there's a title company, there's another agent, another broker. And oh, by the way, if you have a mentor or anything else, plus the sellers might have sold a house in the past 25 years, all those other people are going to make sure that this transaction moves along. But how many grandparents do you have? How many moms do you have? How many best friends do you have that are going to trust you with their real estate? You've got to go out and learn so that you can use that knowledge to go help people transact and sell their house in the summer, right? Like you've got to bring knowledge in so people believe that you have the resources to do the job. You can't just live off of the simplicity of Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
And it genuinely is that easy. It's the matter of finding the person and getting them to trust you. That's the hard part. I mean, and I don't want to downplay it. I'm not sitting here saying that like every agent is the same because they're not. But there's a lot of really great agents out there. I can think of dozens.
Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, like my mind is like blowing of how many agents I can think of that I like genuinely respect. Mm-hmm. And they all do it differently. But like our process works for us. We run a simple, streamlined system that's just all about churning the system in and out, making the most money that we can for our sellers, ensuring that they know that they can trust us when it comes time for crunch time. We've got deals flowing left and right, and then it's about getting into the next deal, right? Do we have enough time to talk about like a silly thing?
Yeah.
Okay, silly thing. So showing property, I think I might have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I was reflecting on it yesterday. Showing property in the higher end price point, and the listing agent attends the showing.
Oh, one of
for
those.
What? For what? Like, give me one reason why you need your agent present at the house. Like, give me one reason.
The cat might get let out.
Okay. The cat might get let out. You can't tell the cat, stay inside.
With the cat.
Stay inside. Right? Like, what else?
That's the only reason. Like, some like random thing like that.
Like, I genuinely, more than probably anyone else, not anyone, but like more than 90% of the world, understand the value of like protecting my home and my safety, having someone there that can like be there and make sure that nothing goes wrong. I get that. Mm-hmm. That's why there's a licensee on the other side.
Also very true.
Right? Like my home is my like safe place. I leave the doors unlocked 24/7. most of the time.
Mike's address is.
Yeah, my address is 11111 Green Spring Avenue, Lutherville, Maryland, 21093. Come up. We're good, right? It's all unlocked. It's all here. And if the lock is the barrier that prevents somebody from flying to Maryland, going to my house and coming in the door, it's like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, why lock the door? I'd rather just let you come in so I don't have to fix the door and replace the items that you stole.
In complete fairness,
right?
I
Like,
don't lock my door either.
Right. But so like, when someone comes in and takes something from me, even if it was like a hamburger out of the refrigerator, I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's Dre. Dre got so upset like a month ago because something. And I was like, why are you upset? And then she started crying. And I was like, but what happened? And she's like, well, it's just everything. But like what? And she's like, and then my dad ate my sandwich. And you're like, what?
It's the last
It's like,
straw.
I had this sandwich from this weekend and I wanted to bring it to work with me. And then my dad ate it yesterday and now I'm so sad. It's like, yes, that sandwich is upsetting. I would be equally as upset. Maybe I wouldn't cry, but the violation of your privacy is important, more important than anybody ever gives value to. But that's not the listing agent's job.
No.
So like, why are they there? Are they going to tell me something that I don't already know? And like, kudos to a lot of really great listing agents. There's one that I can think of. If you're in Baltimore and you're not considering Regina Trackman, she is a bomb ass fucking listing agent. She's dominant as fuck, and she will absolutely destroy a buyer's agent in the negotiation process. Kudos to Gina. But Regina is a very straightforward salesperson. And I know that she's smart, and I have so much respect for her. But if we were at a property and we walked in and she was the listing agent, I still think that I would go into the basement with my buyers and I would go, what is that? And they would go, that's the HVAC system. And I'd go, what do we know about the HVAC system? And they'd be like, this is a high efficiency unit. We know that because of the PVC plumbing that's coming out of it. And and we talk about the water heater and we talk about the the instant hot system. We talk about the generator system and we talked about, and I'm not sure that Regina knows that, but I know that she doesn't know more than me. So like, even with all of that respect for Regina, what the fuck is she doing at the listing?
Wasting her time.
Right. And yet she's telling the seller that it's important that she's there.
Because that's how she runs her system.
I mean, I guess. And I'm telling the seller that I charge more. And I'm telling the seller that we're a better value. And I'm telling the seller that we run a better production. And I'm not saying that Regina's system is wrong or our system is right. But as we're sitting here having this like rant, I'm literally thinking to myself, like, does Regina's team send the seller a copy of the listing for their review every time?
Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe we should list a house with Regina.
Yeah, we should.
That's going to be our next goal. Right? But I don't know. I just feel like the little teeny tiny values that we add from a seller's perspective, cleaning your house, declutter, depersonalization, preparing it for sale, making all those little ministerial fixes. Great. That's all you can do. There's 4 things that sell a house: price, condition, location, and marketing. Ooh, I almost forgot it. Price, condition, location, and marketing. I'm so used to saying the same thing that I was like, there's 4, but I don't remember what the 4 are. So the marketing is totally in our control, right? The condition is totally in the seller's control. The price is what we come together to figure out. And the location doesn't change. So once the sellers have figured out that there's only 3 things that they're hiring for, and there's only 2 things that the agent can actually impact, the only reason that you should be considering 2 different agents is their marketing approach and their pricing approach. And that's it. But yet sellers are like, what are you going to do differently for me? And if I told you all the things that we're going to do differently, you'd be like, well, but Regina's going to come and be at my listing for every showing. Like, why is that a value?
Yeah, explain why you want that. And then once you explain why you want that, then we can talk.
Yeah, right. Or like, oh, I have Wally. He lives at home. He's not a crated dog, so I need somebody to walk him during the showings. So my agent offered to walk him during the showings. And I'm like, I'll bring him to my office. Like, I'll bring Wally around. He'll be my showing assistant for the day. But I'm not showing your house.
Yeah.
I'm going to go show other houses
with your dog.
And most of my sellers are like, you would do that? And I'm like, well, I mean, if I had to. Yeah.
Sure.
And they're about it because they're not hiring me to walk Wally. They're hiring me to market and sell their home.
Right.
And it's like, guys, some of the most prolific is the right word. prolific real estate agents in Baltimore who work for some of the most high-end luxury estate companies make a name because they're going to be at the house during listing or during showings.
That's crazy.
Why?
Yeah.
If you do what you have to do and you hire an agent to do what they have to do, price, condition, marketing, location, there's nothing else that's going to sell your house, right? Find somebody that's going to do their job. If you do your job, pay attention to the market, look at the comparable home sales, hiring a real estate professional that you trust, finding someone that's going to give you up-to-date market statistics and routinely and regularly. If they're not talking to you once a week, go find somebody else. You could cancel your listing agreement, cancel it and call us or call Regina. Bang. Right?
Either way.
We're just going to tag her in this post and she's going to be like, why did I get tagged in this blog? Right. But, find somebody like Liv that's going to bring value even beyond what you expect. And that's what I think is your job. Boom.
Yeah.
Voila.
Love that.
All right, team. You know how to reach us at michael.frank__ on Instagram or at frankoliverco.com. You can always reach out to me on Facebook or send me a message on my cell. You want to give them a way to reach?
Just Mike's and read our blog because it has all this information.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. For more information on the housing market, Real Estate 101, how you can leverage your position in today's market, and so much more, click on the link below. If you like this video or have a burning real estate question you'd like us to answer, leave us a comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you again real soon.